Hello and welcome! Why am I showing you my cat and my dog? Because I forgot to film an intro to this video and my painting is under all this stack because I need to flatten it out to put it in a frame. Today we are painting a really amazing painting. He agrees. So stay tuned. I'm going to bring you right into my process because it's pretty darn fun and the painting turns out amazing. What are we painting today? Well, we are painting brick and old wood. Two things that are supposedly hard to paint, but guess what? They are not if you follow these simple steps. The first step is to consider what color you want your mortar to be and then paint that in the background. And then you'll see I bring out my masking fluid here and begin the arduous, well, I thought it was going to be an arduous process of masking off the bricks, but I did take a ruler and line every 1/4 inch. That's about where I wanted my bricks to be. This process wasn't too bad, actually. I have the Daniel Smith Extra Fine Masking Fluid, and I will link that below because it gets to a really fine point, made it really easy to do this so I could start my painting. So once that background color was laid in, and then the masking fluid was applied over it with that extra fine point, so handy. You guys should check that out if you want to do anything like this. I started laying in the background color for the bricks. And I just kind of splooshed paint in there, the colors that I thought would look good. And I did use yellow ochre, a French yellow ochre, some indigo, a little bit of some kind of blue. I forget which blue it was, but it was a pretty turquoisey blue. You can kind of see that on the right side over there. And then some browns, like the burnt tiger's eye, some of the darker browns. I didn't have really dark browns in this set, and I didn't mix to make any, but I found some that I really enjoyed. Plus, I did use a lot of indigo. I'm really enjoying using a variety of colors in the brickwork here. And then I do lay some dark indigo here and add some salt on top of it because it's kind of like a concrete, oh, I don't even know, almost like a cinder block in that area. Basically, they poured concrete in there, and so it has a little mottled effect. And down on the lower part, the lower left, not where I'm working now, that's the door, but the lower left and the lower right are bigger blocks of stone. So I do put a little salt there, but I don't really like how the salt turns out. And then we get into the part that actually took the longest, and Matt was painting the old wood. And because that took so long, I do have time to tell you a little bit about the background of these paints. These are the Daniel Smith paints that were so generously sent to me by a very, very lovely viewer. And I will link that video up in the corner for you so you can catch up on that story. It still awes me to this day that I have these wonderful paints to work with. So I'm hoping to do them justice in this video by doing this brick and old wood scene. And one of the best ways, in my opinion, to work with old wood is to find kind of a general background color. And you can see I did that with that light blue, which is actually indigo, I believe, very watered down. And then I thought, oh, maybe I'll put my darkest darks in, but then I was wondering, ooh, I wonder if they'll pull out when I do some of the other colors. But for some reason, for me, having my darkest darks in a few places at first really grounds me, and it lets me see what I need to see for making the rest of the painting work together. So I do have more than just that light indigo in the background. You can see I have some of the yellow ochre, basically some of the brick color I did bring onto the wood and add that in because it will help tie the whole painting together. And then I had a kitty visitor. She's always helpful, and I have one right now because, you know, they can't leave me alone. Anyway, I just start putting in a few things, and I use the dry brush technique with old wood a lot, okay, a lot. So I put in wet paint there, and then I kind of dab my brush off on a paper towel a lot and just kind of pull the paint up as it starts getting drier and drier. And then you can see as I am working at the top part, I pull the paint down, obviously, and just keep working with my color layers. And with old wood, there are a lot of different colors in it, at least in most old wood. It has had time to age, to absorb elements around it, or whatever you want to say, dirt, rot, whatever. And it's very colorful, and that's one of the beauties of doing old wood, is that there's such a variety in color in it. And so you definitely want to catch that variety of color. Plus, I'm bringing in the brick color to the background, as I already mentioned, just to tie things together. And while I would like to say as I had the color on my brush for a certain place, I would move around the entire painting, but I did kind of stick to one door or the other. with a few exceptions. But it's nice because these doors were very different colors because, as you can tell, one is like hanging off the hinges and kind of stuck in there, and it's more deteriorated than the other one. And so the colors were slightly different. It was more in shadow and this and that. But I did try and bring the same colors into it even so, because two completely different colors of doors would not have worked. To get back to the dry brush effect just a little bit, sometimes I even dipped into my pans over there where they were a little bit dry and then just kind of pulled it across my paper. And this is Arches 140-pound cotton cold pressed paper. Very nice paper to work on, very easy, very predictable. So if you're going to do something like this, I suggest you work on good paper like this. It is at this point in the painting where I suggest you really step away from the painting for a while, if you at all can. I stepped away from it for just over an hour, came back and realized I really needed to kind of even my darks in those big stones down at the bottom. And I also needed to bring some indigo into the bricks a little bit. I also deepened the shadows in the door frames, but you can see here is where I'm putting the indigo into the bricks, just basically bringing the darks that we have so much of in the doors out to the bricks. And I think that really helped a lot. And you could probably get really detailed with this and get really deep, dark colors, deep colors with your bricks, but I was pretty happy with what I had here so far. So you can see I'm just going back over some of the darker areas, making sure they're dark enough. That is very important to have good contrast in your paintings because that is what draws the eye in. Next is the fun part, taking all the masking fluid off. Now I had gotten used to the way my bricks looked with the masking fluid on, so when I took it off, I'm like, oh my gosh, my background mortar color is way too light, but that is a-okay. I kind of expected that to be the case. I wasn't 100% sure, and I kind of like it, but at the same time, I knew with the feel of this painting, it needed to be toned down a lot. So I'm just taking basically indigo and yellow ochre, varying them and going right over the top of everything. Absolutely everything. And I really like how that turns out in the end there. And then after we finish all that, we get to come into the very, very fun part, which is the taking off of the tape. Who doesn't love this part? I mean, really, who doesn't? I never find it less amazing how much better the painting looks when I take off those messy edges. I mean, what the heck is up with just taping your painting? It's so funny. And I knew the frame that I was putting this into had like a 1/4 inch edge. And so that's basically what I tried to tape it to. And you will get to see that in just a second. All right, we are all done with it. And you need to vote which frame it's going in. I'm gonna have to turn that light off. Hang on. Maybe we'll turn all the lights off. All right, this frame or this frame? I thought immediately I would like this one better, but I don't think I do. Well, you guys vote. It's this one or this one. So that one or that one. All right, I think the answer is obvious, but maybe not, maybe not. I'll have to put them up on the wall, like against something and see what I think, but I think I'll go with you guys' votes. Okay, well, that was awesomely fun. We finally did some justice to these wonderful paints that Diane sent me, and that makes me happy. We will be using these a lot more in the future because guess what? I found an extra die in a game that I didn't need this. So what will happen is I will still do the random thing I talked about for these paints over here, where I just pick colors out of that bag where I have all the swatches, but I will roll the die. That was loud on the glass. Roll the die, see how many colors we'll be using. For some reason this one is favoring 1, so hopefully we don't get 1 every time. Okay, 4, so I would pick 4 random colors and paint with the 4 random colors I pick out of that Ziploc bag. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's okay, because I have a lot of new people here on the channel, and I will link that video for you in the corner. Okay, well, if I turn these lights back on, we'll get some glares, but you'll be able to see some stuff. All right, there's the painting. I hope you had as much fun as I did. This was such a blast. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate the time you spend with me. We'll see you guys in the next video. bye for now. Today, we are painting, excuse me. Oh, dog doesn't like being in the camera. This frame, oh, hang on. Let me take the glass out before I lose it, break it. Oh, I can't take the glass out because it's quite snug. Okay, never mind.